What's up, dudes? Rady dudes. Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today I'm doing a quick video talking about Zodiacs. And I know I've talked about Zodiacs a long couple months ago, but I wanted to bring them back up again because I feel like now more than ever, I know more about the deck, and I'm no expert. I'm still no expert, but before I literally knew nothing. I thought the idea of them being able to overlay on top of each other one after the other is very cool, very utilitarian in getting all the different types of effects off of just one monster, which is really cool. I like that toolbox-esque ability of the deck, and I think over time I've learned more. I've seen a lot of videos. I've tested out the deck myself, not at full power, definitely not at full power. I've tested it in terms of like what we have now, which is not a very good deck, but it's a fun rogue option that can do some very cool things. And I want to talk about the cards that are banned from Zodiacs and which ones and at what I think they could come back into the game we have today. So, before getting into this, I want to say the game right now is so different, and there's so many cards that Zodiacs used to be able to abuse that they can't really abuse anymore. There are packages, there are extra deck monsters that they just are not even an option for them anymore. That being said, I think if we literally released all three of their cards on the ban list off completely, I think they would be like probably a tier 1 deck. I think they could really do some nuts things. But I don't think we need to go that far. I don't think we really need that. I don't think Konami wants a deck that was ever tier 0 to be top of the meta like that again. But if it comes back and maybe it's a tier 2 deck, a strong rogue option, that would be very cool. And that's what I'd kind of like to see, because I think the strategy is so cool that I'd like to use it on a competitive level and not just a cheesy, terrible tier 4 deck level like it is kind of now. So we'll start with Zodiac Ratpier, our only main deck monster here. So if you don't know what Ratpier does, when it's normal summoned, it sends any Zodiac card from your deck to the graveyard. Almost always is your Zodiac combo. Almost always. And an Xyz monster whose original type is Beast and has this card as an XYZ material gains this effect also. Once per turn, you can attach an XYZ material from this card to special summon one Zodiac Ratpier from your hand or deck. So that's the strongest part right there, that second effect. But because Ratpier is at 1 on the ban list, you don't have a second copy of Ratpier to even special from the deck. So that effect is literally completely irrelevant right now. You'll still play it at 1 even now because of that foolish burial effect that it has, but it's nowhere near as good as it used to be or can be. And here I was kind of torn because I definitely think we can have it come back to at least 2. I just wasn't sure if 3 is too busted or if 2 is more where we're trying to land here. The thing is, Zodiacs don't do a ton, so even if you Ratpier into Ratpier, and then because it's not a hard once per turn, Ratpier into Ratpier again, and go through all 3 in the same turn, it's not even like the end of the world. Sure, it's like a long combo and it's kind of annoying, so that part is kind of tough for a lot of players. I won't like that, but it doesn't. The payoff is so minimal. The payoff is like a Link 2 with maybe 2 XZs under it, one being a Drident and one being a not Drident. That's probably not as strong as Drident. And that's like all you get out of like a combo including Ratpier. So it's like it's super like minimal in like the value it gets you even at 3. It used to just be a grind game. It used to just be a super advantage based game, and it still is super advantage based, but in a different way where like it's all about meaningful advantage. It's not just multiple monsters on field are going to win you the duel, because like a lot of strong decks nowadays can wipe an entire board in one go if you're not setting up enough disruptions along the way for them. And I don't think this deck sets up enough meaningful advantage to really make it worth. The deck can draw a good amount of cards. This doesn't really have to do with that. That's more other cards that we're missing. But this, I will say that I think because of Master Rules 4, we need at least 2 Ratpier, and maybe 3 is necessary for Master Rule 4, because you need to just be able to get that link fodder off out, because you kind of need to set up that link to open up 2 zones that you can have more than 1 XZs on board, because just summoning a Drident in your extra monster zone is not going to get it done. Not unless you have like 4 back row or like 2 back row and 2 hand traps. Like you need to be able to summon multiple monsters, especially in a deck like this, because if they get through the 1 Drident, it's over. But honestly, I think ratpier, I'm so torn. It's 2 or 3. It's got to be one or the other. I think that 2 has a chance of not being strong enough. Like 2 won't be enough, and your plays will just be 1 monster short of having that link material necessary, or that XZ's material to make that second XZ's in turn 1 to really set up some sort of powerful board. But there's also that chance that it could be a little too powerful at 3, being able to just get essentially 3 monsters, 3 link materials, 3 materials in general out of just 1 card essentially. So for that, I think I'm going to lean on the side of 1, or just increase it by 1. So just 2 ratpier for now. That's where I'm going to land for now. Then let's move to our second card here, which is Zodiac Drident. And this is actually something super important that I did not say before. Zodiacs never really had to go through the struggle of Master Rules 4. In their heyday, you would just plop like 2, 3, 4 XZ's monsters. If you went unscathed as far as like interruptions go, if you went unscathed by hand traps or trap cards or whatever, you could put multiple XZ's monsters on the field in 1 turn, willy-nilly, no problem, easy as pie. Now you have like 1 of 2 options. You summon a Drident, a big Drident in your extra monster zone, and take up that, and that's it. You ride the Drident or you die. You ride by him or you die by him, or I think it's a her. But now, or it's that, or you can try and make a link 2 to open up 2 zones, try and summon a Drident under that monster and also another monster in the other zone, and then go from there, which seems like much more beneficial in terms of like board advantage, but there's no guarantee you'd be able to get there, and it's like a combo, so it depends on hand traps and stuff as well. But Drident, as far as just Drident goes, this is a card that essentially has a quick effect where you can attach a material to target 1 face-up card on the field and destroy it, which is really, really strong. You can use it offensively, literally summon it, pop something, and then on your opponent's turn, pop something as a disruption. You're just continuously removing cards from your opponent, and it's a quick effect, so as a disruption, really, really strong. Obviously, it's targeting destruction, which is not the best form of removal, but when it's a quick effect like this, it really doesn't really matter how the removal is, because that is such strong utility. All you have to do is find that 1 crack in your opponent's armor that this is going to make it fall apart, and it can be really, really strong. So here's what I think now. The reason the deck is terrible right now is that you can't really do anything. You have no payoff at the end of whatever you do. Nowadays, you literally just summon like a big Tiger Mortar that's like 2800 attack. It has like a whiptail and a Thoroughblade on it, so it's 2800 attack, and if it battles something, it banishes them at the end of the battle. That's about it. Without Drident, you don't have any disruption built into your archetype. There's literally no other disruption built into the archetype, so that's why I think Drident is a necessity. And honestly, the difference between 2 Drident and 3 is like just pretty negligible. But 1 Drident just kills your grind game. Like if you go turn 1, summon this, and on your opponent's turn they're able to play through the pop on their turn and still out him, you might just lose if you didn't open like ratpier to dump the combo to shuffle him back. So I think at least 2, and honestly, the difference between 2 and 3 is like not that relevant, so you might as well just put Drident to 3. The only thing I would ever worry about with like Drident going to 3 is the possibility of Zodiac being like splashed as an engine again into other decks to just get free disruptions out of it, where they would just play like Barrage, like 3 Barrage with like 2 Thoroughblade, and then like Drident in the extra deck. That way they could literally just like, without even using their normal summon, just Barrage into Thoroughblade, put the Drident on top of the Thoroughblade, and then you've got your free disruption, your free pop, which paired with a couple of negates, a couple of hand traps, can be nearly impossible for any deck to play through. So that is one worry I do have, but honestly, like that doesn't change if Drident is at 1 or 3, so you might as well put it at 3. The only thing putting it at 3 changes is how usable it is in Zodiacs themselves, which is really cool. And I really like that. So I think Drident is such a cool card, and I don't think the engine will be super splashable into a lot of things. I mean, I think it's splashable, but I don't think it's really worth, because like you can play like a 3-1 ratio, but if you draw your Thoroughblade, it's gonna like soak up your normal summoner. You're gonna have the desire to kind of want to soak it up as your normal summon, and it's just like not worth overall. Because if it's not an actual Zodiac deck, you're not going to want to commit your 1 Thoroughblade into it. So you might have to play like a 3 Barrage, 2 Thoroughblade lineup, which is just like not the move at all. So I'm not really sure. But as far as some cards we are missing here that kind of like hurts some of this stuff, it hurts the consistency of the deck. We're missing stuff like Speedroid, Terratop, and Takatop, or Terratop is now at 1. So you cannot Terratop into Takatomborg or make an Invoker. First off, Invoker is banned. So without Invoker, there's no reason. Even if Terratop was at 3, we wouldn't be playing it because we don't have Invoker. So you can't just go into Invoker to get out, you know, a Thoroughblade and then get you into your like plays again, get into your Zodiac engine again. That doesn't even exist. There's no payoff for playing the Speedroid engine, so that's like, or the Speedroid package, whatever you want to call it. So that's completely out of the question. We do not have Daigusto Emerald. I don't think they. I think it's a fine card now. Like I don't think it's like so busted. I think it's like it's a good card for what it is, but it's a rank 4. Like what decks even make rank 4s nowadays, or even can make rank 4s after they like do their link plays? Nobody's trying to make a Daigusto Emerald in their extra monster zone. And there's not really many decks that are even capable of making him after opening up zones with a link monster. So I don't even know, like maybe they could release him. I'm not really sure. That's not what I'm specifically talking about today, but assuming he stays on the list, we don't have that cycle ability that's that easy off of just 2 4s. You kind of have to go the combo route or just be smarter about your resources, which is interesting as well. And yeah, but I think Drident can literally come back to 3. Seriously. The deck literally has no payoff. You just make a big monster and that's it. And then you lose. But Drident actually gives you an in-archetype way of being able to set up disruption for your opponent, and that's what the deck needs. There needs to be some sort of, okay, I have something to do to my opponent on their next turn. And the last card we have here is, in my opinion, by far the most busted card in the archetype, Zoodiac Broadbull. So this card says you can detach 1 material from this card to add any Beast Warrior monster that can be normal summoner set from your deck to your hand. No level restriction, no in-archetype restriction, nothing. You can literally search any Beast Warrior as long as it can be normal summoned. It's so busted. Plus, it's not even a hard once per turn. It's a soft once per turn. So if you can make multiple Broad Bulls, you can search multiple monsters. So jank, dude. Here's what I think about this card. Because it's a soft once per turn, I don't think it can be back at more than 1. I think at most at 1. And even then, I'm still iffy about it, because you have your built-in Zodiac combo into your archetype. You have the built-in way to shuffle your extra deck monsters back into your extra deck and reset yourself. So even then, I'm still like iffy on it because of how possible it is for the deck to just recycle him and then get him every turn. Like the reason I'm almost okay with him at 1 is because like you argue that like, okay, you use him once and then he's gone. That's what they argue with, like that's argument with like Gari and Sky Strikers being at 1. But both decks have built in fairly consistent ways of recycling their stuff. You recycle him and then you search again next turn. And if you're able to recycle that stuff and do it again, then like you search multiple turns in a row. So, but for him, it's literally a matter of, is he too busted at 1? If so, keep him at none. If not, 1. Never more. I mean, maybe not never, but obviously with power creeping, and if decks get even more insane than they are now, maybe in the future he could come back, and because all the other decks are insane, he's not even that insane anymore relative to them. But I think it's either 1 or none. I think 1 might even be too busted because of combo. But I'm going to say... See, I worry that like 2 ratpier and drident to 3 isn't enough to really make the deck legit. But I think it kind of does. I think the deck will have good and bad matchups. Like decks that don't really care about the pop will have really good matchups. Broadbull. I'm going to say none. I think it's a little too busted because of combo. I think combo makes this card too good to be able to cycle back and even summon in the same turn, possibly. What does combo say? I can't remember. If combo lets you shuffle that same turn or if you have to wait a different turn. But yeah, I think that's where I land. I think I land that Broadbull should stay banned. One, because it literally takes any 2 level 4 monsters, and it can be abused in any Beast Warrior deck. We have Fire Fist support coming up legit, and this can be abused in that. And other than that, there's just like the theory that we're like pushing Konami away from Beast Warrior decks. There are a ton of people that love Beast Warrior archetypes, but Konami can be like scared to print legitimate new Beast Warrior stuff because we could have cards like Broadbull floating around, just super abusable cards, and it's banned right now. But you know, if it ever came off, they know it's abusable in that way. So he's not in archetype specific. He searches any Beast Warrior essentially in the main deck, which is busted, and he's not a hard once per turn. So for those reasons, I say keep Broadbull banned. I say Drident to 3 is fine, and I think Ratpier to 2 is probably the best. But even maybe without Broadbull, Ratpier could be at 3. That's another thing as well to consider, that if Broadbull stays on the ban list completely, maybe Ratpier at 3 isn't that terribly insane. So that's where I land with the Zodiac stuff now after what I've watched. Shout out to the Cali Effect. I watched his like 50-minute video of him dueling like full power Zodiacs versus full power Salamangreats. He did end up getting like the better of the Salamangreat player, but that was using Terror Top and Taka Tomborg. That was using Daigusto Emerald almost every single turn 1, and turn he was able to play, he would almost re-summon another Daigusto Emerald almost every single turn. So there's that. He went through MX Saber Invoker a couple times, obviously with the Terror Top and Taka Tomborg combination. And for most of the duels, he wasn't playing following Master Bros 4, but he did with the latter couple. But he also used Summon Sorceress to enhance his combo. So obviously Summon Sorceress is banned at this point now, which means you can't use that to enhance your combo, to just turbo out more Ratpier, whatever you need to turbo out. So all these things considered, these went into my decisions and what I think, how I think these cards could come off the ban list. And I really hope they do. It's more personal wishes than anything. I understand that there are a lot of people that are still callous towards the deck because it was tier 0, and I don't blame people for getting callous towards the deck when it's tier 0. I'm a little callous towards Sky Striker at this point, even though it was never tier 0, so I can only imagine an actual tier 0 deck. But I really love the idea, the theory, the way the deck plays, and I never really got to play it, so I'd really love to be able to play it at a legitimately competitive level. And yeah, hopefully we see some of these cards come off the ban list at some point in the near-ish future. We'll see. It's been 2 years. It's 2019. So maybe. We'll see. But guys, that's pretty much it. I know I rambled a lot, but I had a lot I wanted to say about the archetype. I'm a really big fan, and yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you think I'm a fool and keep all these cards on the list, let me know. If you think bring them all back, it don't matter, Master Rules 4 and the loss of all the other cards that the deck used to abuse, it will not even be enough to get it into tier 1. Say that too. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want, subscribe to the channel. I won't make you, but it make me feel good. I'll see you in the next one. Peace, guys.